What is up, everybody? It is me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea. And I am unfortunately joined tonight by the second juror of Ascendance Live Season 2, Mr. Wesley Bryant. How are you doing this evening? Thanks for joining me.
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Doing great. Really happy to get you on here and start talking about, what the hell happened in there, what was going on. I wanted to start off first by asking you, obviously the connection from, Nicole, it was talked about potentially you joining production and then it kind of transitioned into you playing this season. So kind of walk me through like the conversation and how that whole thing transpired from you potentially producing to playing.
Yeah. So I had talked with Nicole a lot about her game and her show. And I just love bouncing off ideas and being creative with other people. And I also have always envisioned the YouTube reality show world to be like the makeup community on YouTube. So how like you have collabs with other people, they don't necessarily see each other as competition. But I felt like that vibe could have been started in the YouTube reality show community. So I think we all excel and are successful and create a fun game for people to play and watch by helping each other. So I wanted to help her. And then we talked a lot about season 3 and what it was like to be someone who made this game on a college campus. We played in a classroom with like 15 people. 2 years later, it became what it did. um I missed it. I really did. I met a lot of really good people through it. And I was like, well, I might as well try to play. I might as well try to win. So it went from I just want to help and like collab however I can, and then it was like I want to fall back in love with it again.
Yeah, and you go out there and you make it all the way here to the second juror spot. I wanted to ask you like going from like the other side of it, like the production side of it, now you're playing in a game. How hard is that to kind of like take off the like behind the scenes aspect of, what you're viewing to now you're in the mix, you know?
Yeah, I think, when the only people that you're talking to are the other players and you have something that's on the line, like my life in the game is at stake. So in a way, I felt like I was really separated, but I remembered things when I needed to. So I would be like, I would do this if I was a producer. If I was Nicole, I think I'd do this. She did trick me and surprise me several times, but I think it helped me understand where are we going in the next round? What is the next round going to look like? What's going to be best for the viewer? Because I've had these conversations with her. I had no idea what anything was going to be whenever the game started, unfortunately. But having that experience of playing, then making 3 seasons, and also planning just with friends, I was able to see into the future in a way.
So what was your like familiarity with like the format of the game Ascendance coming into it? I know you had a relationship with Nicole and probably a couple other people that were a part of the Ascendance community, but like was it what you expected going into it?
Yeah, I think it was actually. It's this perfect mix of Big Brother and Survivor that I've always wanted, in my opinion. Uh, so I felt like I understand it well. And then the night before we went to filming, I binged the entire season because I couldn't sleep. So I was like, well, I might as well watch the first season again. So I, I think watching all of that and then walking right into it, I wasn't really that surprised. I felt like I had a grip on the game.
So there's, the scene where you guys are walking in and, you're open to like the living room of all the contestants. As you're like going out there, walking out there, was there anybody that you were like, oh, familiar face or like, oh, that could be trouble?
Yes. First, though, I was told that I was going to go first. Nicole told me I was going to be the first person to walk out. So I'm hiding in a closet, and she comes and gets me, and I walk. She's like, "You need to walk like this and do this," and I'm like, "Got it, okay." So I do my thing, and I was about to turn to an empty room, and I was like, "Oh!" Hey, somebody lied. Uh, but then I like scanned the room and I saw a lot of like, you know, shocked faces. But then I also saw a lot of just like, happy to be here. I don't know what's going on. I recognize dogs right here. Sorry, I recognized two or three people, um, and was happy to see them there. But other than that, no, it was a lot of shocked faces.
A lot of shocked faces. And I was doing a little bit of research before we sat down tonight, Wesley, and I was looking at some stats. And you were vulnerable basically every elimination.
Yep.
Um, you did not win a team challenge, I think. You went,
Not a single one.
yeah, you went defeated. So it's a
Yep.
testament. Like season one, there was a contestant, Michelle, that also was at almost every elimination, and she made it all the way to final four. And it was a big like target on her back because she had made it through a lot of the eliminations. You not only made it through all of the eliminations up until you got eliminated, but you voted correctly in every single one. So it's kind of a crazy stat. No one's done it this season except for you. Carson was close, but he missed one of the eliminations due to safety. But how stressful is that? Back to back 7 times.
So the first four times, I was like, "You've got to be freaking kidding me! I'm tired of this. I know I'm capable. Like I know I could win something. Like, is this serious? Like I know Nicole's pranking me, but after like number five came, I'm like, can we get to it? And then my number six, I'm like, okay, can we just go ahead and go vote? Like, just forget the challenge. Just in a way, it made me feel when I switched from nervousness to like let's go was when I realized I am spending a lot of stressful time with other people. And that to me is a better way to build relationships than to stand on the side and throw in your input every couple of sentences unless you're Marvin and Kennedy and you're in every conversation anyways. But I think you can build relationships better by having to be in the boat every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is definitely a great perspective. You're trusting people to vote a certain way, and obviously, you garnered a lot of trust throughout the season, having voted in the majority every single time. Um, was there ever a specific vote where you were like, okay, it could be me this time, up until, obviously, I mean, this last round where you get ultimately eliminated, you weren't the majority, but you got eliminated. But before that, I'm saying, is there anything where you were like, it could be the end?
The first time was the worst, but I felt it every single time because everyone said my name every single time. It was almost like I was the filler name. Like, oh, say a name, and nobody wants to say a name, so they just go, Wesley, because it was one of the first names that was said. So I think there was maybe once that I felt safe. So to answer your question, every single time, but except for once.
I want to hone in on a specific round that I thought was interesting for you, and that's the round where Jake is eliminated. Basically, your name was going around throughout the entire night. Um, and then there's a 20-minute period in the morning where you guys can strategize, and you just made shit happen. So kind of run through like the magic you pulled
Yeah.
there
So
to save yourself.
there's a little bit more tea to it. So the reason I went to bed is because I have sleep apnea and I have to wear a CPAP, and I like have to go lay down. I can't just like lay there and pretend like I'm awake, but I'm actually sleeping. However, I did see a lot of it, but I went to bed first, and everybody else on my team was upstairs, and they were like, "Well, Wesley's not here, so let's just vote him." I don't know that until I go to breakfast, which was not filmed when we're getting breakfast, and I looked at Paul, who always talked to me because he always I think he always felt like he was on the bottom and I did too. So we were able to connect a lot and we would always bounce ideas off of each other. And when I looked at him in the morning and I said, "So what are we thinking?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. I've got my off switch going right now. Like I just have my switch turned off. I'm just focused on breakfast." And like turned like this. And I was like, "Ah, what changed?" And then I looked at Carson and I said, "Good morning." And he went, "That is not Carson." So I said, "Okay, what happened? Let me figure this out." Everybody, they sat at the end of the table together eating breakfast, and I was like over here. I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly. So there's also this, you can see the division here. So when we go to start filming at the main house, we're standing around the kitchen counter and everybody's silent. And I'm looking around at everybody's faces and nobody's making freaking eye contact with me. And I was like, dang it. And Marvin is in this group. And I've known Marvin for years before this was even a thing. So when I walked in and saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, why are you here? How are you here? Like, I was really shocked to see him. We met each other outside of YouTube reality shows. So I looked at Marvin and I said, so y'all gonna vote me tonight? I just straight up, I was just like, "Who y'all voting?" And they were all like, and I was like, "Woo, y'all too like tired this morning to speak." So Kennedy turns to me and she goes, "It's either me or US. It's like I said your name, you've been saying my name. It's just gonna be one of us." And everybody was like, "Oh." And I looked at Marvin and I said, "Really?" And he goes, "You went to bed before everybody else." And I went, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Because I went to bed? Like, I put my CPAP on? So when the game actually started, I immediately grabbed a group and I was like, is there any movement at all? Like, can any of you budge? Or is it straightforward me? And they were like, well, say your pitch if you want to. And I said, Paul, you've been on the bottom every single time talking to me. Like, you can't do this. Like, so then they said, say a name. And I said, Carson. I said, everybody loves him. He's going to do really well. I started crying. I did feel bad and I could feel myself tearing up because I was like going after him and I saw him as a friend and I still do. And when I started to tear up, I was like, it's good. Let me stretch this a little bit. So I
Use
did.
this.
Yeah, I'm gonna use this. And I was like, I really was upset. But so it started in a genuine place, but then I just kind of like let it keep going. And then next thing I knew, I would walk up to conversations and his name was being said. So I was like, whoo. I think if I had not been socially aware to see, like, oh, Paul, the way Paul's communicating with me is completely changed. He shut me out and looked to people that he was previously seeing as a threat. And I thought Paul saw comfort in me. So when he did that, I was like, it's me. I know it is. And then I checked with Carson. And then when we get to the vote, I think the only thing truly that saved me was the fact that I just bluntly was just like, so y'all are going to vote me out? Because if I knew it and didn't say anything, I feel like I never would have gotten ahead of it the way I did because I could never talk to everyone at the same time. I'm rambling, but anyways.
No, it was just fun to get that side of it because we kind of don't get it through the episode. We get, you go to the narrative, you go to sleep, they kind of gang up on you, and then all of a sudden, Jake the next morning is the vote. But it's good to like fill in those details. Um, I wanted to ask you, looking at these episodes now, seeing the alliance that is the four-person alliance that's kind of in control of the game right now, how aware like were you throughout the game of that, or were you not aware until after the game?
I was more aware of more obvious alliances, people who always hung out together on camera and off camera, people who shared rooms, people who stayed up talking late together. I saw that as a clear alliance, but I never saw them together. And but I will say I walked in knowing that a lot of people would have relationships, possibly more than I would. So I saw it all as one big cloud of me having to insert myself and to act like I've known everybody for years the way that they have. So I wasn't surprised at all. But if you asked me there, like, did you know about this? I'd be like, not really, but it was kind of, I mean, yeah, duh, is kind of my train of thought.
Right. Um, so it's interesting. I would you say like you had a specific group that you were like gung ho with? It doesn't seem like there was a majority or like a group or alliance that you were a part of. It just kind of seemed like you had individual connections with people throughout the game. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, I did, and we stayed true to it and talked about it for many rounds. It wasn't a big plot point at all, and it makes sense knowing what everything else was happening. But they all, like, a lot of them started to get eliminated at the beginning, and Keaton was a part of it, and he kind of killed it whenever he's in the first round. He was like openly talking about me, and other people told me, and I was like, well, there went that. But the rest of us kind of stayed together. Melissa, I feel like, was the leader of the group, so whenever she went, we talked about it, but we never made decisions together.
And is that like the Maddie alliance you're
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah. Hmm.
Okay, cool. Um, so I want to get into this episode that you ultimately get eliminated at. Um, huge blow up, right? Huge blow up. Well, not huge, but like a little bit of a confrontation between yourself, Marvin, and Joda Lee. So I want to get some inside baseball on what the hell happened there. It seemed like tensions were hot. So
Yeah.
from your perspective, I mean, you guys hug it out at the end, right? Always good to hug it out. But what happened there?
So I talked to Marvin about everything every single round, and he told me that he had what he had. Jodely saw him get it, and Jodely is the one who spread it, not me. So when Marvin's like, I know I told Wesley, and that people know now, so it must be Wesley, that's where that confrontation came from. However, I usually would respond in a more, let's, work on this together. I didn't want to get like heated with anybody because that is an immediate target on your back, and then emotions are now involved, and then people can sometimes try to get you out even though they know it's not what's best for them in the long term. Anyhow, we talked every single round about everything. I went up to talk to Marvin, and we were passing each other on the steps. I said, do you want to talk? And he put his hand in my face and went, no, and kept walking. And I went, oh, it's like that. Okay. So then I pranced off to talk more and strategize more with other people. And then he walked in, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, we could do Drew. I asked Kennedy to do Drew, and she's saying no. Like, we don't have to vote Kennedy. I can do Drew. But she's saying no to that. So I'm like, what? Like, I'm trying to work with y'all, and I'm being rejected repeatedly. So I don't know what you want from me. Then we walked out, and that's whenever he walked up and was like, it was you, Wesley. Don't bullshit me. I know it was you. And I was like, hell no, it wasn't. It ticks me off because I hate being called a liar because I tried really hard not to lie. And he was calling me a liar, and I was like, you should know better. Like, we've known each other for years outside of this. Like, you know better. And um and then the heatedness came from, like, I can't believe you just talked to me that way, and I wanted to, like, be clear that that's not acceptable to me, and I won't take it. So that's when I was like, don't talk to me that way again.
So, um, Marvin has, the two halves of the pendant. He gives it to Kennedy, um, and everybody votes for Kennedy, and her vote is on you. So ultimately, you are the one person that gets one vote and is eliminated right there. So it seemed like from the episode, Marvin wanted her to vote out Jodely, but she still votes for you. Why do you think she didn't follow, what Marvin wanted, even though Marvin was the one that gave her the pendant of power?
I think Drew likely got to her, A, or B, I played a very blunt and honest game on purpose, and I just said how I felt. And I feel like my conversations with Kennedy sometimes were like, come on now. Like, I felt like I could see through some of her antics. And I think that she also knew that I was like, hmm. So maybe it was that. I could be totally wrong. Maybe she thought that I was fooled. Um, Sorry, the dog's crying. It's okay, baby.
Oh,
Anyways,
welcome to the show, dog.
yeah, hi, Sophia. So, yeah. Did that answer your question? Where was I?
Yeah, I think so. It was just fun. Well, not fun, but it was interesting watching that. I was sold on the fact that I thought she was going to cast her one vote to send Jodie home. So I was super shocked when it was you that was the one that got eliminated there.
There was something. There was something. There was something about the way that she presented it that I just was not convinced. I never was 100% convinced by her. So, and I think that she recognized that and took the opportunity. And I also wasn't surprised that she picked me because I looked down and everybody's knees are shaking like this because everybody's nervous on the stools when we're
I
voting.
noticed that. Yeah,
Like
everybody's
Kennedy's was
close.
not moving. And I went, her legs have moved almost every single time. Why are they not now? And I looked over her down the line and she went, and I went like that. And she goes, I'm sorry. And I went, and she went,
Oh,
I said, got it. And then
oh,
so when he came out and read the votes, I knew right then because she told me.
damn, that's
Oh my God.
cold-blooded. Um,
And I wanted to be like, no, you're not. Shut up. You're trying to get my jury vote.
so in that moment, you guys are aware Carson's the first juror, you are now the second juror. You stand up and you give a great game kind of, positive exit, hug everybody on the way out. Great sportsmanship, of course. Um, was there anybody like, behind that where you were like, I'm fucking pissed at that person? Or were you like, I mean, everybody, it was just Kennedy who voted you out at that point.
I thought, man, that's good TV. I really wasn't angry at all. Like I was proud of I was proud of myself because I thought I was going to be one of the first three out. So I'm gonna pause and let the dog out. I think she needs to go back.
Sophia?
So sorry. um, let me gather myself here. Okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't angry at all. And I wasn't like, oh, how dare you? I've always taken it as a compliment. And I was proud of myself and I've already had a lot of fun. And a part of me was excited to go to the jury house to chill and talk.
Um, Overall, once you're eliminated, you obviously still have one duty to vote for a winner, but your game, like, did you feel like it met the expectations that you wanted coming into it? Like as a whole, did you enjoy the experience?
I really did enjoy it. I loved it. I had a great time. I say that I would do it again, but there's, a lot of anxiety when you're playing as well. But especially when there's cameras in your face. But I mean, I would do it again. There's just a lot of anxiety.
What was your favorite part of the entire experience?
Honestly, getting a break, to be away, to have my phone locked up, and to just not have a single worry in the world. And then also to meet people and put faces to names that I had heard who watched and supported me with my show. Um, that meant a lot to me too. Like when I walked in and I see people have this reaction of like, oh my God. And then several people came up to me, even I believe, yeah, several people came up to me. Some of them I did not know. I don't mean to be rude, but the fact that they knew who I was, knew about my show, and was so kind to me made me feel a lot of appreciation and a lot of feelings that I used to feel that I had forgotten about.
That's awesome, man. Well, is there anything regarding your experience or your time in the Ascendance Live Season 2 house that you want to talk about that we haven't covered up to this point?
Yeah, there is one thing in a challenge where we were partners and I was partners with Godely and we had to get the puzzle pieces. We got all six, I believe it was, pieces, and we stayed out there. We're the last team. I think we were one of the first teams to get all 6 pieces. We were the last team to get off the porch
Yeah.
because I could not count and neither could he. And we thought we had 5. So we're the last people over there. And I'm like, Nicole, y'all messed up. There's not another piece. There's not
It,
another piece.
that's funny that you mentioned that because I remember the edit. One of you two said, we're killing this. We're right in front, and I was like, I feel like they never even made it to the sidewalk.
I know we were out front. We were doing really well because I could be really loud. And I think my voice has like a distinct sound to it. So he could hear me well. So
Well, good to know that a little inside baseball there on what happened in that challenge. But besides that, Wesley, that's all I have for you. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to come on Lost at Sea. Um, and with that being said, I'm going to close out this recording.